It has been a gut-wrenching start to the week for everyone in Broncos Country following that tough defeat. Falling to Buffalo really stung, so if you are feeling the pain, smash that like button and write this below. Broncos for life because our postseason dreams crashed hard in that 31-7 drubbing by Buffalo. A matchup that exposed massive flaws while showing brief sparks of fight. Yet looking past the brutal scoreboard, this year marked a pivotal shift filled with potential. Even if the finale leaves us with heavy questions to answer, we need to dissect exactly how things unraveled in New York and the implications for the franchise, despite the hot start. Bo Nix orchestrated a masterful opening series that ended with a spectacular deep strike to Troy Franklin for 6. Hope surged when we grabbed that 7-0 advantage. But Buffalo immediately seized control of the tempo. They completely monopolized the clock while tearing apart our defensive gaps, holding possession for over 41 minutes compared to our mere 18. And that massive imbalance does not just skew the game, it buries any hope of winning. Our defensive collapse has become a disturbing pattern throughout this final stretch of the year, after beginning as elite. A squad that once led the league in sacks and dominated the red zone completely folded under the weight of potent attacks like Buffalo's, surrendering 471 total yards with over 200 of those rushing. Whiffed tackles, terrible gap discipline, and busted coverages were everywhere. This was far more than a simple off day. It represented the boiling point of problems brewing for weeks, as Vance Joseph's crew proved unable to stop the ground attack. Watching James Cook, Ty Johnson, and Josh Allen repeatedly shred through them for big gains. These failures were not unique to this matchup, given the similar meltdowns we witnessed against squads like Baltimore, and Cleveland had already sounded the alarm. Being unable to halt the run or perform in the postseason is a major issue that management must address immediately, and while the defense failed, the offense dealt with its own disasters. Bo Nix generated nearly all of our 224 yards, yet he received almost zero assistance from the rest. Our rushing attack vanished completely, forcing the rookie to carry the entire burden while key targets dropped passes, including a killer mistake by Devon Valley that killed our momentum. And even Cortland Sutton mishandled a rare one during a pivotal sequence, and special teams faltered too when Will Lutz shanked a field goal attempt that might have shifted the energy before the break, because for a rookie signal caller, every wasted chance adds heavy pressure. Yet through it all, Nix displayed the grit and talent to prove he is our franchise leader if we provide proper reinforcements. So the offseason chatter will surely center on the coaches, specifically Vance Joseph's job security, as coordinator is now debatable, since his group's late-year regression forces us to ask if he is truly the correct man to command this defense. While offensively, Sean Payton's strategy has come under heavy fire, especially regarding how predictable it became. If we want to capitalize on this year's progress, both schematic adjustments and player growth must take precedence. So where do we go from here after this painful exit? There is still cause for hope, since we have secured our quarterback and field, one of the youngest squads in the NFL, backed by wealthy owners and plenty of cap room to position ourselves for massive improvements this spring. We desperately need to reinforce the offensive line and build better depth at running back and tight end, while snagging another explosive playmaker to pair with Sutton. The 2024 run was a tale of evolution, defined by peaks that proved our worth and valleys that highlighted exactly what we must fix. Although the finale wasn't what we wanted, this franchise isn't crumbling. We are an ascending power equipped with the assets to level up. So now I am turning it over to you. How do you feel about the conclusion? The road ahead? Do we need to shake up the coaching room? And who are your top targets in free agency or the draft? Drop a comment. The anger from that Buffalo beatdown is real, but we have to take a step back and look at the macro view, realizing this year was never about hoisting the trophy right now, but rather establishing the bedrock for an organization that has lacked stability lately. And Bo Nix, rising as our undeniable leader, is the key piece we build around. Because despite the obstacles he navigated during his debut campaign, he showed calmness, flexibility, and moments of genius, delivering throws in high stakes. Situations like that first Buffalo series that confirm he has the goods to be our answer at quarterback for years. Yet talent alone will not suffice. For him to hit his peak, the front office has to obsess over getting him a go. Building a stronger roster begins in the trenches, specifically an offensive line that frequently failed to shield Nix or clear vital rushing paths. Establishing a steady, explosive ground game wouldn't just alleviate the heavy burden on the signal caller, but simultaneously unlock deep play action strikes to challenge coverages. The ground attack's total disappearance during that postseason defeat was a fatal flaw, permitting Buffalo's defenders to lock in exclusively on halting Nix and suffocating the aerial assault. The wide receiver core demands immediate reconstruction. While Cortland Sutton remains a dependable pillar, the void of consistent threats behind him proved painfully obvious. Troy Franklin displayed sparks of genius, and rookies such as Marvin Mims and Devon Valley exhibited potential. Yet the frequent drops and erratic play from this youthful core underscore the desperate necessity for a verified, electric weapon capable of tilting the field. Whether via the draft or open market, acquiring an elite pass catcher must sit at the very top of Denver's priority list. Tight end is another spot screaming for an upgrade, as the franchise hasn't rostered a truly dominant force there since the prime years of Julius Thomas. A multi-dimensional tight end who can dominate blocking assignments while acting as a security blanket for Nix would inject a vital layer to this attack. It is impossible to ignore that championship-caliber squads frequently lean heavily on tight ends during crunch time, a weapon Denver presently does not possess. On the defensive side, the debate regarding Vance Joseph's tenure is complicated. Although his squad demonstrated brilliance during the season's first half, the catastrophic meltdown down the stretch is impossible to overlook. Denver fielded elite personnel, featuring studs like Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, and Pat Surtain, the second anchoring the backfield. However, their failure to stuff the run, exit the field on third downs, and sustain coverage discipline all reached a breaking point in the biggest moments. Yet, replacing Joseph is not a choice to be taken casually. The locker room has publicly rallied behind him, and the raw ability is undeniable. Perhaps a schematic overhaul and tactical tweaks tailored to the specific skill sets could unlock this unit's ceiling. On the other hand, if Sean Payton and the executives believe a defensive reset is mandatory, they must identify a leader capable of blending effortlessly into the organization's ethos while optimizing the current roster. Looking forward, the Broncos' leadership wields massive financial firepower, boasting a projected top 10 ranking in salary cap room. Denver possesses the freedom to hunt premier free agents. The Walton Penner Group's readiness to pour money into the franchise further magnifies this edge. Intelligent expenditure paired with surgical draft selections could rocket this squad from mere playoff hopefuls to bona fide championship threats. This offseason will also challenge the fan base's patience. Developing talent remains a pillar of the organization's blueprint, and while gutting the roster after a heartbreaking defeat feels tempting, the Broncos will probably not forsake their dedication to grooming youth. Marvin Mims, Devon Valley, and Riley Moss represent prime examples of athletes poised to make massive strides in their sophomore campaigns. Affording them the snaps and runway to mature is essential for long-term dominance. Finally, the brass and coaches must confront the team's psychological edge and competitive mindset. Sean Payton's comments regarding the necessity of hosting postseason matches at Mile High next year highlight the critical nature of capturing the division crown. The road to glory is paved by consistently battling and dethroning the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning tyrants of the AFC West. Establishing the division title as the minimum standard transmits a vivid signal. The Broncos are finished with simply sneaking into the postseason. They intend to restore their legacy as annual heavyweights. So, Broncos Country, the burning question persists. What is the next move? This year delivered optimism and agony in equal doses. Yet the ceiling for greatness is indisputable. What is your take on the franchise's trajectory? Should Vance Joseph retain his role as defensive coordinator? Which roster spots demand the most urgency this winter? And most crucially, are you convinced this squad is prepared to ascend? Blast your opinions in the comments section and let us maintain this dialogue. The Broncos campaign might have concluded, but the mission is nowhere near complete. The offseason is the forge where champions are crafted, and backed by your passion, this unit is ready to soar. Make yourselves heard, Broncos Country. Tell us where you stand on the future of this organization.